I'm a hot sleeper, my wife is a cold sleeper. To make things worse for me, we have a very nice memory foam mattress, which seems to absorb my body heat, double it, and then send it back up to me. She snuggles up in bed all night, I do a duvet dance, poking arms and legs out, just trying to regulate my temperature while I'm sleeping. Well, that's what it used to be like. I've been using the Pod 3 cover for a year now, and it probably took me about a year before that to actually comprehend spending $2,000+ on what is essentially a mattress topper. So has it been worth it? Well, in this updated review, I'm going to talk about how the 8 Sleep works and also the pros and cons of using it for an entire year. Let's get cracking. So how does the Pod 3 cover work? Well, you have a hub by your bed and then you put the cover on your mattress. If you sleep alone, it creates one big zone. If you're a couple like we are, you both get individual zones tailored to you. And then it adjusts the temperature throughout the night to help you optimize your sleep and optimize each of your sleep zones. You can either set it in Celsius, where I am in the UK, Fahrenheit if you're in the US for instance, or what I prefer to do is just use a scale of -10 to +10. You set the temperatures that work for you. I prefer to start off cold and get gradually warmer as the night goes on. And then it will make adjustments using its autopilot feature if it feels that you might be slipping out of that sleep zone that it wants you to be in. And it helps you really just to optimize and maximize the quality of your sleep. So how do we sleep since getting the 8 Sleep Pod 3 cover? In short, like a log. I would describe my sleep before getting it as maybe a 6 or a 7 out of 10. If I show you last night's data here, you can see that I got 100% for quality, 100% for routine, and I got 7 hours and 51 minutes sleep. But more importantly for this review is how has it gone over the last year? Well, here is my sleep performance for the last year. You can see it's given me a score of 93%, which is excellent. If you look at the 2 tram lines at the top of the screen, you'll see that that's the zone that it wants you to be in, and the higher you are to the top purple line, obviously, the better. And every month I've been well and truly in that tram line. Now, my wife's story is quite different to mine. So she was a 2 out of 10 sleeper. She's a woman of a certain age, menopause, and she's also like, she comes from a long line of nighttime thinkers. Let's just say she takes a regular 2 a.m. trip mentally to Worrytown. So let me show you her results. So last night you can see her sleep score was 97, her quality was 96, and her routine was 100, and she slept for 7 hours and 20 minutes. But let's look at her data over the last year. On the face of it, you can say her results aren't as good as mine, but remember, she started from a much lower position. She scores her own sleep score as 2 out of 10 before getting the 8 Sleep. And her overall score is 85%. And if you look at the last 6 months, you will see that she has been absolutely spot on within those tram lines in an optimal zone for the last 6 months. In October, we had an acute health scare, and you can see the impact that that had on her sleep. I think if you took that month out, she would be an average of over 90%. So I don't really drink. I've probably had a year or so not drinking, and lately I've had a couple, but I'm not really a drinker. I just don't feel great on alcohol the older I've got. But my wife does still drink, and if I put her last week's sleep score on the screen here, you can see the 2 nights that she had a drink, can't you? It's quite obvious. So if you're one of those people who think that alcohol makes you sleep, then that might be a fallacy. Here's my sleep stages from last night, and you can see that the deeper the blue, the deeper the sleep, basically. So at the start of the night, I was straight into deep sleep, get straight off, go to sleep so quickly with the 8 Sleep. And then about 1 o'clock, you'll notice that spike. And that happens every night, I've noticed, between 1 and 1:30. And if you haven't guessed what it is yet, it's the time that my middle-aged bladder has decided it's had enough, it can't cope, and I have to get up and go to the toilet. However, you'll see that I go straight back to sleep, which is something that I didn't used to do before the 8 Sleep. And then the rest of the night, last night was made up of REM sleep and light sleep until we woke up at 6 a.m. this morning. In short, and my initial reluctance to get an 8 Sleep, because I thought thermoregulation while sleeping, mean, I've lived so long without having it, and was it overrated? But I do think that since having the 8 Sleep, this is the future of getting really good sleep. If you're in a position where you can afford to get one, you can really make improvements to your sleep. So the next thing I want to talk about is comfort. And it's clearly the 8 Sleep Pod 3 cover is not a static product, because I've actually got 2 of them. The original one I bought, that is comfortable, very comfortable, but it does actually firm up the bed slightly. Whereas the second 8 Sleep I bought, that is much different. So that's got perfect fit technology as well. It kind of goes over more like a traditional topper. It feels more plush, it's more comfortable, and it hasn't changed the feel of our mattress at all. In fact, apart from the extra kind of like little bit of plushness you feel with the 8 Sleep, you can't actually tell it's on there. The next thing I want to touch on is noise and how noisy the 8 Sleep is. After all, it's working next to your bed, and if it's going to be waking you up at night, is counterproductive to actually what it's trying to do. Now, I live in the UK and I live in a new build house. Typically, I mean, out of all my friends, I only know one person who's got air conditioning in their house. I certainly haven't got any, and I would say, I don't know, 1 or 2% of people here have air conditioning in their house. And houses are designed here to keep the heat in. To impact on that further, our bedroom is south facing, so it gets the heat all day. And typically by bedtime, our bedroom is between 23 and 28 degrees Celsius in the summer. I'll put Fahrenheit on the screen here. So it is a warm room. And that means the hotter it gets ambiently, the hotter the ambient temperature is, the harder the 8 Sleep has to work to actually fight that and cool the bed down. So in our experience, and I'm very noise sensitive, so I can't sleep in a room with a fan on. We have an ensuite bathroom. When you turn the light on, the fan comes on, and then when you turn the light off, the fan goes to trickle. So I can't sleep with that on either. I can't really sleep with aircon on in a room if we're in a hotel. I can easily sleep with the 8 Sleep on, because even in the summer when it's working harder, it does make like you do get a noise from the fan, but it's like a white noise. It's quite soothing. In fact, I'd probably say that white noise is productive for sleep. In the cooler months when it's not working as hard, you just can't hear it. It's whisper quiet. You can't even tell it's on. At this stage, and you can probably tell, I absolutely love my 8 Sleep. I have 2, as I've mentioned. And if you're thinking about buying one, I'll put a link in the description, which will take you straight to 8 Sleep's website. Now, they have a discount there as well. In addition to that, I'll put a coupon code, which means at checkout, you put in this code and that will get you an extra $50 off as well if you decide to buy an 8 Sleep. And that also helps support the channel, so thank you very much. Before I finish the video, let's talk about the downsides, because there are a couple. Now, one thing that it has, a feature which I thought I would love, it has 2 alarm functions, and we get woken up by an Alexa every morning. Sorry if I've set yours off. And it's just being like snapped awake. The 8 Sleep has 2 functions. You can either use a thermo alarm, and how that works is it will either wake you up, it will either heat the bed or cool the bed to gently wake you up. This is nice for weekends, I think. Or the other option is a vibrating alarm, and you can set the intensity and you can set aside. So if you get up before your partner to go to work, for instance, you can set your side to vibrate, your partner's doesn't, and you can quietly sneak out of the bedroom and off to work. However, the only way to turn it off is with your phone. So you've got this like quite nice vibrating alarm, and you get a feeling that you're waking up and you want to wake up, but you've then got to find your phone to actually turn it off. I would like there to be either a button or an app for your voice assistant where you could just say, voice assistant, turn off my 8 Sleep alarm. Maybe that will come. I mean, I feel like that's just a software upgrade. The other issue, and this is very much a first world problem, is it just ruins sleeping anywhere else. So we recently went on a road trip. We went up to the north coast of Ireland and then came down and we stayed at the Johnstown estate just outside of Dublin. Beautiful building. We had a lovely accommodation, very comfortable plush beds. In addition to the 8 Sleep, I also wear a Whoop, which is uses a sleep tracker as well as a fitness tracker. And you can see from my Whoop scores the nights that we were away. So the first night we were away, I got 72%. And then I had 4 poor or average nights sleep after that. And then you can see the 2 nights, the Tuesday and Wednesday, how my sleep's improved when we were back on the 8 sleep. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a buying factor, but going away to nice hotels will probably never be the same again for you. The next downside is the subscription, and people generally hate subscriptions, but hear me out. So it's $209 my renewal was for the year, which works out to be 57 cents a day, which isn't a lot if someone said, would you pay 57 cents for a really good night's sleep? I think every day of the week my answer would be yes. So I don't feel like it's expensive. However, I do think it's odd to have a subscription for a product that helps you sleep. That is something that's kind of quite new to the market. However, what I've noticed over the last year is through software updates and innovation, my 8 sleep seems to get better and better. So it is slightly quieter than when I first got it. It seems to have the autopilot functions where it adjusts throughout the night, are constantly improving. So on the one hand, people generally don't like subscriptions. However, I want innovation and I don't mind paying a subscription as long as I'm getting lots of innovation to my product. The good news is if you're really anti the subscription, after the first year you can cancel it. You can still control the temperature of the 8-pod-free cover. However, you don't get things like autopilot, the auto adjustments. It's just your adjustments, and you don't get the sleep data as well. So if after a year you don't want to renew your subscription, you don't have to. I mean, I kind of feel like you should factor in the fact that you might want to get the most out of your product going forward. I just reduced our Netflix subscription by 2 levels. Not one person in the house noticed, and it covered the cost of my 8 sleep subscription. In conclusion, we spend a third of our day in bed, don't we? And if you're like me, the quality of your sleep can very much dictate how your next day goes, especially the start of your next day. And when I buy fitness equipment, I like to work out, I like to look after myself. I will spend a couple of $1,000 on an exercise bike, a connected fitness exercise bike, or a treadmill or a rowing machine, because they very clearly have an advantage to my health. I feel fitter and better for using them. If I had my time again before I bought the treadmills, etc., I actually think I would buy an 8 sleep before I then looked at buying treadmills and bicycles. Just because I think if I'm a boxing fan, and your jab is a fundamental punch in boxing, everything comes off the jab. And that's the same as sleep, for me anyway. Everything around my day is impacted off the fundamental thing, which is my sleep. The good news is that if you do decide to buy one, they do have a really good returns process. If you buy one, try it, decide it's not for you, you can just send it back to them. And as I mentioned, I'll put a link in the description, which will take you to their website where there should be a discount. And in addition to that, I'll put a coupon code there, which you can stack on top of that discount to get an extra $50 off too. Well, I hope you found this video useful, and until next time, see you soon.